أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار، أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay. نيابة الألف عن الضم. Of course, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نيابة الألف عن الضمة. Alif replacing Dhamma. So just as we did for Waw, when does Alif becomes the alama of Raf'u? When does Alif take the place of Dhamma as the sign of Raf'u? Okay. As-Sad, that is from the text of AL-AJRUMIYYA. We have وَأَمَّا الْأَلِفُ فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً لِلرَّفْعِ في تثنية الأسماء خاصة. Okay. In the Sharh, explaining this, وَأَمَّا الْأَلِفُ, as for Alif, فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً, it is a sign or a marker للرفع, for the nominative case, في تثنية الأسماء, when making nouns dual, خاصة, exclusively. So it is just one place. When you make a noun dual, that is when Alif becomes the sign for its nominative case. In the Sharh, Imam says, Al-Alifu takuna, what is that? Al-Alifu takunu alamatan lirraf'i fi mawdi'in wahidin faqat. Alif becomes the sign of the nominative case in one place alone, in just one place and nowhere else. And this position is fi tathniyatil asma'i, in making nouns dual. Tathniya, I dualizing, making something dual. So when you make a noun dual, that is when you make Alif as the sign of the word being in the nominative case. It says يعني, meaning في المثنى منها, في المثنى منها, أي في المثنى من الأسماء. When nouns are made dual, that is what he means. وإنما قال المؤلف, the writer said, الأسماء, the writer specifically mentioned nouns, لبيان واقع, to explain the reality on ground. Okay. لأن الأفعال لا تثنى, because verbs are not made dual. What he means is that the writer specifically mentioned al-asma and not fil kalima. The writer said تثنية الأسماء خاصة, not تثنية الكلمة أو كلمات. He said that so that he will take away verbs, because it is understood in deeper grammar that verbs are not made dual. Okay, he says لأن الأفعال لا تثنى, because verbs are not made dual. وأما قول القائل, but when somebody says الرجلان يقومان, the two guys are standing, يقومان is فعل ما ثنية, it hasn't been made dual. What has happened to يقوم, the verb يقوم, is that he says لكن اتصل به ضمير التثنية, the pronoun of dual has been attached to it, that is alif and nun, but the verb itself is not made dual, because you can't double an action. That is what it actually means in essence. You don't double an action is an action, you get it? But what is made double is a noun. If you have two phones, you say two phones. You have two cars. So nouns are made dual in Arabic language. We don't bring the two and then we just make the noun dual. Okay. It says ala kulli halin, because he doesn't want to explain that so much, he leaves it just short like that. He lets us understand that it is a verb, all right. Ma thunniya, it hasn't been made dual. لكن اتصل به ضمير التثنية, it has just been attached with the pronoun of dual. And he says ala kulli halin, whatever the case may be. الألف تكون علامة للرفع في تثنية الأسماء خاصة. The definition again, alif is a sign or a marker for the nominative case, for the raf'u, when nouns are made dual. He says, وَالْمُثَنَّى مَا دَلَّ عَلَى اثْنَيْنِ أَوْ اثْنَتَيْنِ. And when we say muthanna, when we say dual, what we mean is مَا دَلَّ عَلى اثْنَيْنِ أَوْ اثْنَتَيْنِ, which refers to two. اثنين is two masculine, أو اثنتين two feminine. That which refers to two things. بزيادة, with an increment. So you have a word that has ziyada. Some letters have been added to it. This addition, agnet and muta'atifaini. This addition, agnet and here means kefa. It makes it enough for us to bring two words with harf atf. So instead of us saying rajulun wa rajulun, rajulun wa rajulun, instead of us bringing this atf, if we say rajulun wa rajulun, these two words are muta'atifaini. They've been connected together with a harf atf. And they are also mutamathilaini. They are also alike. Rajulun wa rajulun. These two words are alike. That is what we call muta'atifaini, mutamathilaini. You bring two same words and then you connect them with harf atf. Okay. But he is saying that when we say muthanna, when we say a word, a kalima is muthanna, it is that which refers to two things. Biziyadatin, we add something to the word itself. This addition makes it enough for us. We don't need to now make them in the form of muta'atifaini, mutamathilaini. We don't need to bring the wa again and make the word into two. We just say, instead of rajulun wa rajulun, we just say rajulani, one word. This is what the definition is about. هذا المثنى. This is المثنى. This is dual. والملحق بالمثنى والملحق بالمثنى كالمثنى. And the one that is affiliated to muthanna, you remember when we discussed the jam'u mudhakkar salim, jam'u al-mudhakkar as-salim, we said there is also al-mulhaq, mulhaq bi jam'u mudhakkar as-salim. That is words that are affiliated to it. Same with the dual. There are words that are affiliated to dual, but they are not dual per the definition. They are called al-mulhaq bil-muthanna. Okay. It says, لكن هذا تعريف المثنى الحقيقي. The definition we've been given is the definition of the true muthanna, not the mulhaq. The definition we've been given is the definition of al-muthanna, not al-mulhaq bil-muthanna. So when we are asked what is muthanna, this is the definition we give. But when we are asked al-mulhaq bil-muthanna, we can't give this same definition. He will tell us why, inshallah. فَقَوْلُنَا, when we say مَا دَلَّ عَلَى اثْنَيْنِ أَوْ اثْنَتَيْنِ, he's coming to crack the definition open, he's coming to dissect it. So when he says مَا دَلَّ عَلَى اثْنَيْنِ, that which refers to two things, اثْنَيْنِ أَوْ اثْنَتَيْنِ, that is two things, but in Arabic we have ithnain for masculine and ithnain again for feminine, ithnatain for feminine. So he brings the two. So that which refers to two things, whether masculine or feminine. By we saying this, خَرَجَ بِهِ مَا دَلَّ عَلَى أَكْثَرَ, we take out that which refers to more than two. So if you have a word and it refers to three things, it becomes jama', not muthanna. Okay. وَمَا دَلَّ عَلَى أَقَلَّ, and what refers to lesser than two, فَهُوَ مُفْرَدٌ, that is what is called mufrad. وَمَا دَلَّ عَلَى أَكْثَرَ, mufrad ay singular. وَمَا دَلَّ عَلَى أَكْثَرَ فَهُوَ جَمْعٌ, and what refers to that which is more than that is plural. Okay, إذن يخرج بقولنا ما دل على اثنين. When we say ما دل على اثنين, we've taken out the mufrad and the jam'u. He's trying to, this style of his makes you understand how perfect the definition is. It refers to the specific thing we mean by muthanna, because it takes out mufrad and it takes out jamu. Okay. And also when we say in the definition, biziyadatin, wa qawluna, and our saying in the definition, biziyadatin, with an increment. يعني, this means, لا بد أن يكون هناك زيادة. There must definitely be an increment على المفرد on the singular لتحقق التثنية to achieve the dual. There must be an increment to achieve the dual. When you have a word and it refers to dual and there is no increment, letters that are increased letters that can be taken off, these kind of letters are not there. We didn't consciously add any letters to make the word dual. Then we don't call this muthanna. Though it refers to two things, but we don't call it muthanna. There has to be a ziyada on the singular. There has to be an increment on the singular form of the word, and this increment is what should make the word into dual. He's going to clarify that. He says, فَمَثَلًا إِذَا قُلْتَ. So for example, if you say زَيْدٌ, you say Zayd, زِدْ إِلَيْهِ أَلْفًا وَنُونًا, add alif and nun. تقول, you say زَيْدَانِ. Okay, now when you say زَيْدَانِ, this thing that he said, so with Zaid and Alif and Nun becoming Zaidani, he's explaining to us that the ziyada, he's explaining to us the increment that has been added. We've added Alif and Nun to make it 2 Zaid. Okay, so in the definition, he's saying biziyadatin, it is ihtirazan, kind of protection or caution against mimma dalla ala ithnaini biduni ziyadatin. There are words that refers to two things, but there is no ziyada. No letters have been added. It is as it is. So he says, احترازا مما دل على اثنين بدون زيادة. This is precaution. The ziyada that he mentioned in the definition is precaution against words that refers to two things, but do not have any increment in them. Increment of letters in them. For example, اثنين, a word like اثنين, two. Of course, اثنين refers to two. Says هذه ليس فيها زيادة. This word اثنين has no increment. It is as it is. لأنه ليس لها مفرد اسم. Because the word اثنين does not have singular. Two does not have singular. اثنين is as it is. Okay. ولهذا نقول, and so due to this we say إن اثنين واثنتين, two is mulhaqani. These two words are mulhaqani. They are affiliated bil muthanna, to the dual. Walaysa muthannayayni, and they are not duals. We don't say ithnain is a dual word in Arabic grammar. In Arabic grammar, when we say a dual word, we mean there is some letters that have been added to a word, a singular form of a word, to get the two form. Like Zaid, Zaidani, Rajulun, Rajulani. But when we look at Ithnain, it is just Ithnain. Ithnatain is just Ithnatain. Okay. So he says, وَمِنَ الْغَرِيبِ, and it is most surprising, it is part of the surprising things, أَنَّ اثْنَيْن, that two, وَاثْنَتَيْنِ, two feminine, هُمَا أَصْلُ الْمُسَنَّى, they are the basis of dual, because two is actually the basis for dual. When we say dual, what comes to mind is two. But in Arabic, it says وَلَيْسَ مِنَ الْمُثَنَّى حَقِيقَةً. They are not part of dual in reality in Arabic grammar. Because in Arabic grammar, they don't just say muthanna for muthanna's sake. It is to be applied. It is to have some consequences in grammar, some consequences in grammatical analysis. So they giving it the term muthanna, they know what they mean. They don't mean two. The word for two in Arabic is not part of muthanna. That is what he wants us to understand. So he says again, وَقَوْلُنَا, still breaking down the definition. وَقَوْلُنَا, and we saying, أَغْنَتْ عَنْ مُتَعَاطِفَيْنِ مُتَمَاثِلَيْنِ. So when we say أَغْنَتْ and muta'atifaini, mutamathilaini. As I've already explained, muta'atifaini, when we say two words are muta'atifaini, they are connected by harf atf, a conjunction letter like wa, fa, thumma. And he says mutamathilaini. These two words should be the same thing. Like waladun wa waladun, waladun wa waladun. This phrase or sentence or this construction is muta'atifaini mutamathilaini. Two connected words that are the same. So in the definition when he says agnat and muta'atifaini mutamathilaini, that is the dual comes to replace these two same words connected with wa. When we make the word into dual, we don't need the wa and another word again. Mithla, when we say az-zaydani, agnat and zayd wa zayd. It becomes enough for us. We don't need to say zayd and zayd. When we say az-zaydani, it refers to the two zayd right away. We don't need to now say zaydun wa zaydun. Okay, fataqulu ja'a az-zaydani. So you say ja'a az-zaydani. You will say ja'a zaydun wa zaydun. Badalun min an taqula, instead of saying ja'a zaydun wa zaydun. So instead of saying ja'a zaydun wa zaydun, you just go right away and say ja'a az-zaydani. Wa taqulu ja'a al-muhammadani badalun min Muhammadun wa Muhammadun. So instead of you saying Muhammad, Ja'a Muhammadun wa Muhammadun, you just make it easy and say Ja'a al-Muhammadani right away. Wa taqulu, and you say Ja'a al-Aliyani badalun min Aliyun wa Aliyun. Same way, instead of Aliyun wa Aliyun, you just use the dual form. You add alif and nun to the singular and then you get your dual. Okay. Ja'a al-Umarani. You say Ja'a al-Umarani. The two Umar are in, but in qusida bihima Umaru wa Umaru, if you intend with saying Ja al-Umarani, Umar and Umar have come, then al-Umarani is muthanna. So he says fahuma muthanna, it becomes muthanna. Wa in qusida, but if you intend with Umarani Abu Bakr wa Umar, because in ulum Islamiyya, in the Islamic sciences, they sometimes say Umarani to refer to Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, or Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. They use Umarani to refer to the two of them. So if you use Al-Umarani to refer to these two, then you know, of course, you have muta'atifaini, two words connected with wa, but they are not mutamathilaini, they are not the same thing. So wa in qusida Abu Bakr wa Umarin fahuma gayru muthanna. In that case, they don't become muthanna. Lakinnaha, but then the Umarani tu'rabu i'rab al-muthanna. We will still give it the i'rab of muthanna because Umarani is Umarani. Though it is not muthanna, but we will give it its i'rab. لأنها, because it is mulhaqatun bihi, it is affiliated with the muthanna. لأنك إذا قلت, because if you say al-Umarani wa anta turidu, and you intend Abu Bakr wa Umar, and you intend Abu Bakr and Umar, صارت al-Umarani, the Umarani word becomes na'ibatan. It becomes na'ibatan an ithnain. It now replaces two. غير متماثلين, which are not alike. It replaces two things, two persons, but these people are not alike. They are غير متماثلين. نابت عن أبي بكر وعمر. So it now replaces Abu Bakr and Umar. It replaces two people, but it is not dual. So we say it is mulhaqun bil muthanna. It is affiliated to the dual. You say, it says تقول قال الأبواني. قال الأبواني, the two fathers have said, but then let's wait with the translation first because there is explanation. In قلت, if you say huwa mulhaqun, if you say it is affiliated to dual, qulna, we will tell you akhta'ta, you are wrong. وإن قلت مثنى, and if you say it is dual, قلنا أخطأت, we will still tell you are wrong. Why? فلا بد من تفصيل. You definitely have to explain to us what you intend with al-abawani. So he says, so in reality you are not wrong, but he's just trying to say until you explain to us what you mean by abawani, we can't tell you are right. That is basically what he is telling us. So the tafsil, which is the explanation, you need to tell us about the abawani. In aratta, if you intend bil abawani, with your kalima abawani, with the word abawani, if you intend abun wa abun, that is two fathers, fahuwa muthanna, it then becomes muthanna, it then becomes dual. Wa in aratta bil abawaini, and if you intend two bil abawaini, by you saying abawani, by you bringing the word abawani, because we use it for a father and mother. We use it for somebody's parents, a person's parents, the father and mother, we use abawani for them. If you intend al-ab, al-umma wal-ab, فهو ملحق بالمثنى, it then becomes mulhaq بالمثنى, affiliated to the dual, but not dual, because they are متعاطفين غير متماثلين. إذا أريد بهما الأب والأم, if we intend the father and mother, لم تكن الزيادة أغنت عن متعاطفين متماثلين. The increment alif and nun that we've added does not suffice us from the wa of atf, the wa that we would have brought. It suffices us from the wa, because you now have al-abu wal-ummu. The wa, we don't bring it when we say al-abawani. So it's enough for us for the wa. But the two words are not mutamathilaini. They are not alike. So we say they are mulhaq bil muthanna and not muthanna. Bal an muta'atifaini agnet, the bal here, he says it means rather, because he started by saying lam takun ziyadatu, the increment, lam takun agnet an muta'atifaini mutamathilaini. It didn't suffice us from the two words joined by a conjunction, two similar words joined by a conjunction. Bal, rather, and muta'atifaini mukhtalifaini, but it suffices us from using two words, different words that are joined by a conjunction. لأن الأبواني, because abawani أغنت عن أب وأم. Instead of saying abin wa ummin, we saying abawani suffices. So basically, when the definition is very key here, the part of the definition that says this ziyada biziyadatin agnat and muta'atifaini mutamathilaini, this part is key in knowing what muthanna is. So more examples, he says al-qamarani. Sometimes in Arabic, in Lugha Fasih, in classical Arabic, they say al-qamarani to refer to the sun and the moon. So al-qamarani in qulta huwa mulhaq. If you say it is mulhaq, it is affiliated, we say you are wrong, akhta'ta. Wa in qulta muthanna, and if you say it is dual, we say akhta'ta. In aratta bil qamarayni, if you intend with your saying qamarani, qamaran wa qamaran, a moon and a moon, you want to say two moons, and you say qamarani, فهذا مثنى, it then becomes muthanna, because they are muta'atifaini mutamathilaini. Instead of bringing them, you bring one word to cover them, or you add alif and nun to one of them to make the dual, and it suffices. وهذا يمكن أن يكون رجلان جميلان. Okay, he says وهذا يمكن أن يكون, this is possible. If you intend qamaran and qamaran, then it is muthanna. Okay, rajulani jamilani, two handsome men or two nice men. Yani annahuma kajamal al-badr. Oh, okay. What he intends is وَهَذَا يُمْكِنُ أَنْ يَكُونَ رَجُلَانِ جَمِيلَانِ. If you say qamarani, it can be referring to two handsome men. Qamarani can be used to refer to two handsome men. That's why he's saying وَهَذَا يُمْكِنُ أَنْ يَكُونَ رَجُلَانِ جَمِيلَانِ. This can be referring to two handsome men. يعني أنهما كجمال البدر, like comparing them with the beauty of the moon. Okay. فَإِنْ أَرَدْتَ بِالْقَمَرَيْنِ. So if you intend with your saying qamarani, الشمس والقمر, the sun and the moon. If you intend with it the sun and the moon, because in Arabic, as I said, we refer to the sun and the moon together as qamarani. فَإِنَّهُ غَيْرُ مُثَنَّى. In that case, it doesn't become terminologically dual. It does not. لأنه أغنى عن متعاطفين غير متماثلين. Because it is enough, it suffices for us from saying الشمس والقمر, but we realize that they are غير متماثلين. They are not alike. So it is not two same things. Okay. It says نحن نريد أن نعرف المثنى مرة ثانية. We want to know the dual again. He is trying to refresh our mind again. So he says, هو ما دل على اثنين. It is that which refers to two things. أو اثنتين, or two feminine things. بزيادة, with an increment. أغنت عن متعاطفين متماثلين. That suffices us from mentioning two same words and joining them with a conjunction, a harf atf. وما عدا ذلك, and anything other than that, فإنه يكون ملحقا به. It becomes affiliated with it, associated with it. The word ibnani is muthanna, is dual. Ithnani, ibnani is muthanna, but then ithnani is mulhaq, is affiliated. I'm sure this is understood. Because ibnani, we have ibn, and then we've added alif and nun to prevent us from saying ibnun or ibnun. Two same things joined with a conjunction. So because ibnani suffices us from saying this, it becomes muthanna, it becomes dual. But when we have ithnani does not, we can't have two same things that we want to mention that we've added. We don't have uthnun as a word. So this, there is no ziyada. The word is like this. And doesn't even have a singular. So it is mulhaqun bihi, mulhaq bil muthanna. It is affiliated with the dual. هل يصح أن نقول, is it right for us to say إندي رجل أثن, like taking off the alif and nun from ithnani? Is it right for us to say رجل أثن to refer to بدل إندي رجل واحد? So ithnani, you take off the alif and nun, that makes the dual, and then you are left with uthnun. Do we use that? No. La, he says la. Of course no. ما يصح أن نقول. It is not right for us to say it like that. إذن اثنان واثنتان ملحق بالمثنى. Then the ithnani, two masculine and two feminine, they are affiliated with the dual. من الملحق بالمثنى, among the words that are affiliated with the dual are the two words kila and kilta. Kila refers to both, and kilta also both, but feminine. But bishartin, with a condition. They are not just mulhaq, just like that. They have conditions. And yudafa ila damir. For them, it has to be affiliated, it has to be put together in a possessive case with a pronoun. That is, a pronoun has to be attached to its tail before we say it is mulhaq bil muthanna. أربع كلمات تلحق بالمثنى. Four words, the mulhaq bil muthanna are four words. And these four words are ithnani, wathnatani, wakila, wakilta. So ithnani, ithnatani, kila, and kilta. These are the four words that are ملحق بالمثنى. So إثنان and إثنتان لا تضاف. They don't come as مضاف as explained in the previous lesson. You don't bring them as in a possessive case. Okay. وكلا and كلتا. كلا and كلتا تضافان. They are brought in a possessive case. They have to be in a possessive case. لكن أحيانا تضافان إلى الضمير. At times they are attached to a pronoun. وأحيانا and at times تضافان إلى الاسم الظاهر, and at times they are attached to an apparent noun. That is not a pronoun, a noun, proper noun. إذا أضيفت كلا وكلتا, if كلا and كلتا are attached إلى الضمير to a pronoun, صارتا ملحقتين بالمثنى. They then become affiliated to the dual. وإن أضيفتا, and if they are attached إلى الاسم الظاهر to a proper noun, صارتا معتلتين. They become weak nouns. Weak nouns, as I've explained, nouns that have weak endings or nouns that have weak letters, weak endings actually. So when a noun ends with a weak letter, we call it mu'tal. So it says if they are attached to a pronoun, it is in that case alone that their i'rab becomes like the muthanna, and we call them mulhaq bil muthanna, affiliated with musanna. But when kilta and kila comes and they are attached to a proper noun, in that case, we do the i'rab for kila and kilta as nouns ending with weak letters, which is alif. So kila ends with alif, so it's a weak noun. Kilta ends with alif, so it's a weak noun. And you've already seen i'rab with words ending with alif like that. So it will be easier understanding this. He says, يعني, what does he mean by صارتا معتلتين? What does he mean by saying they become weak nouns? He says, يعني تعربان إعراب الاسم المفرد بحركات مقدرة على الألف. They are now giving the i'rab of a singular noun with hidden harakat, hidden vowels, على الألف, on the alif. Okay, he will do the i'rab of one, so let's not waste time here. He will expand it for us. Then, أولا, first of all, كلا and كلتا لا تستعملان إلا بالإضافة. They are not used except in a possessive case. They have to have an affiliation with a word. ثانيا, كلا وكلتا. Secondly, كلا and كلتا تضافان إلى الضمير. Sometimes they are attached to a pronoun. ثالثا, thirdly, كلا وكلتا, these two words تضافان إلى الظاهر. At times they are also attached or connected with a proper noun. إذا أضيفتا إلى الضمير, if they are attached to a pronoun, فهما ملحقتان بالمثنى, then they become affiliated with the dual. Their grammatical analysis become the same as the dual, but they are said to be ملحق بالمثنى, not مثنى. وإذا أضيفتا إلى الظاهر, and if these two words, kila and kilta, are affiliated or are connected or attached to a proper noun, أُعْرِبَتَا إِعْرَابَ الْإِسْمِ الْمُفْرَدِ, they are given the i'rab of a singular noun بحركات مقدرة, with hidden vowels, على الألف, on the alif. أمثلة, examples. جاءني الرجلان كلاهما, the two men, both of the two men came to me. الرجلان كلاهما, the two men, both of them, literally both of the two men came to me. هذه ملحقة بالمثنى. كلا here, we say it is ملحقة, it is ملحق بالمثنى, it is affiliated to the dual. لماذا? Why? لأنها أضيفت إلى الضمير, because it is attached to a pronoun. You see, كلا Huma. Huma is a pronoun. The two of them. Kila huma attached to a pronoun in this case. So in this case, we say it is mulhaqun bil muthanna. When you say ja'at al mar'atani kiltahuma, he's using kilta too for an example. Kilta is both but feminine. So both of the two women came. جاءت المرأتان كلتاهما. Both of the two men came. This is ملحق بالمثنى لأنها مضافة إلى الضمير, because it is attached to a pronoun. Okay, but let's see this. كلتا الجنتين آتت أكلها. In the Quran, this is a verse in the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, verse 33. Those two gardens that gave its produce, that is grew fruits and all that. Kilta al-jannataini atat ukulaha. So we see kilta, and after kilta we see a proper noun, al-jannataini. In this case, kilta has been attached to a proper noun, not a pronoun. So here we say kilta غير ملحق بالمثنى. It is not affiliated with the dual. لأنها أضيفت إلى اسم ظاهر, because it is attached to a proper noun. ولهذا عندما أعرب أقول. And so due to this, when I am doing the grammatical analysis for kilta here, I will say kilta مبتدأ is a subject, مرفوع in the nominative case بضمة على الألف. It is مرفوع, and the sign of it being marfu is dhamma, and this dhamma is on alif. But why are we not seeing it? It says mana'a min zuhuriha at-ta'adhur. Impossibility of its showing has prevented its appearance. So it can't show, but there is a dhamma there. Wakilta mudafun. So it is also mudaf. It is the possessed. In the possessive case, if you know this possessive case, how to form it, we will get there though. Wal jannataini, and jannataini is mudafun ilay, is the possessed. So in the possessive case, we have the possessed and the possessor. So kilta will be the possessed and jannataini will be the possessor. That is the mudafun ilay. Okay, so all that we need to know is that when kilta comes in an apparent noun or a proper noun comes after it, it is not muthanna. It is ismun mu'tal. It's a weak noun. And now that ends with alif is a weak noun. Okay. And he says, al-jannataini, the two gardens, is muthanna. Why? Am ghayr muthanna. He's asking us, is the jannataini word muthanna or not muthanna? He's asking. Dalla ala thnataini biziyadatin. That's pointed to two things. And there is ziyada. There is an increment. That is yai and nun. Agnat and muta'atifaini amla. Has this increment sufficed us from mentioning two things or not? He says, Na'am. It has really sufficed us from saying Jannah and Jannah. And he's saying that mutamathilain, these two words, are they the same? They are the same. لأن المفرد جنة. Because if you don't say Jannatain, we will say Jannatun wa Jannatun. A garden and a garden. And then since we can bring yai and nun to save us from mentioning the two same words, then Jannatain becomes muthanna. Okay, so he says, Idhan, then, kilta gairu muthanna. Kilta is not muthanna in this case. Wala mulhaqun bihi, and it is not affiliated with it. Wal jannataini, and the two gardens, is muthanna, is dual, hakikatan, true dual, not mulhaq. Okay, since he's done the grammatical analysis of kilta al jannataini, I think we need to do the grammatical analysis of the kilahuma. So let's just do the ja'ani ar-rajulani kilahuma. So ja'a, we say fi'l madin مبني على الفتح لا محل له من الإعراب. نون الوقاية مبني على الكسر لا محل له من الإعراب. ياي ضمير المتكلم في محل نصب مفعول به. الرجلان فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الألف لأنه المثنى. We need to take note of this. الرجلان فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الألف لأنه مثنى. Okay, so our interest is also on the kilahuma. So we've seen مثنى. Kila, we say توكيد معنوي, or you can say حرف توكيد معنوي, or we just say توكيد معنوي. I think that is fine. توكيد معنوي مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الألف لأنه ملحق بالمثنى. توكيد معنوي مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الألف لأنه ملحق بالمثنى وهو مضاف. هما ضمير مبني على السكون في محل جر مضاف إليه. I think this suffices us for this session, inshallah. Anything that is unclear, true speaking, might have made some mistakes or anything, you draw our attention to it, inshallah. We will revise it. May Allah grant us beneficial knowledge and make our knowledge benefit the ummah at large. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. يا رب موسى وهارون وإيسى ومحمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكرمنا بقوة الحفظ والفهم والمعرفة والحكمة. آمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.